Hi everyone, my name is Sydney and today I'm going to be discussing The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. And Don Miguel is also the author of The Four Agreements, so you probably have heard of him before. This book is obviously all about love, which is beautiful because it can be about love with other people, relationship-wise or family-wise, friends-wise, but it can also be about love within yourself. And self-love is the biggest thing that is super important, and a lot of us kind of just put it aside, don't think about it. In order for us to go out in the world to love someone else, we have to love ourselves first, because it just doesn't work. If you're in a relationship where you feel like you love this person but you don't love yourself, well, it's not going to work because you need to love yourself first. It's the biggest thing. You can't accept someone who loves you when you don't love yourself that way. And I think it's the biggest thing that a lot of people kind of don't understand. And this book does go into depth of that, which I think is really beautiful. When I finished it yesterday, I put the book down and I lie down on my bed. I was looking up at my ceiling and meditating with my eyes open, and it was the most beautiful thing. I felt like my vibrations, my energy was just expressing so much love. I felt like I was on a high. There was so much love within me that I could just feel around me, within me, and it was the most beautiful thing. I was saying to myself that this is my body. My soul is in this body. And it was the most beautiful revelation. It was the most beautiful thing to come to terms with and say out loud, and to be looking upwards. I could imagine myself within the stars, and it was so beautiful. So I highly recommend that you read this book. There were some things that I didn't agree with, some things that I thought could have had more detail or could have been extended more. But overall, this book for me was so beautiful. There were so many quotes. I don't know if you can see how much dog tags I have, but there were so many quotes that just opened up so many questions in my mind. And it was so beautiful. If you are going through something where you experienced a breakup or a loss of a friend or a loss of a family member, or you feel like you don't love yourself and you need something to help you get through that, to learn to love yourself again, or even just to try to analyze how life is, I would highly recommend this book, because there's so many little things in here that's for everyone. And there is talk of self-love inside here, but also talk about relationships and life and all these different kinds of things. I really think it's beautiful. And for me, what really won me over was at the end, Don Miguel wrote these kind of prayers. And he started off with like prayer of awareness and like prayers of self-love. And it was just so beautiful to read, and such a beautiful way to end the book. I will happily read the self-love one to you later on in this video, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to go into the spoilery section of this video, if it's even spoilery. Feel free to stay if you want to hear the little bits that I loved within this book, because there was a lot that I highlighted, a lot of things that opened up questions in my mind and discussions, so I would love to share those with you. So here we go in 3, 2, 1. A big thing for me that I believe in is that we are all spiritual beings on this earth experiencing a human experience. To me, that line, which I actually found from Deepak Chopra's The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success book, which I did do a book talk on, I will leave that in the description box below if you want to check that out. But that line resonated with me in such a beautiful way. It was just so relatable, which is so interesting, because for me, the books that I gravitate towards are fantasy books, spiritual books, and to find fantasy books relatable is really interesting, because a lot of people stray away from fantasy books because they are a form of escapism. But there's something about them for me that I really am able to be drawn in, and I feel the characters, I feel their elements, I feel everything. And when I read books about the universe and magic and we are cosmic stardust and all these little things, it opens up this whole other idea of what life is. And it's such a beautiful thing. It opens up ideas of this life that we live feeling like an illusion, possibly being an illusion, and other things, other parallel universes happening at the same time within this life that we live. If we are looking up, we are looking at our ceiling, but what if we are actually looking up into another galaxy, another world, you know, kind of thing. And to me, it's such a beautiful way of looking at life, because it makes magic feel so, so real, and I love to believe in that. I really do believe in spiritual beings, you know, spirits and souls, and this energy that we have and vibrations all around us. Life is all around us, within us. It's such a beautiful thing, and I really loved that Don Miguel also kind of tapped into that. So something that's really interesting within Don's books is he loves to talk about the Toltec. And Toltec, they were scientists and artists who formed a society to explore and conserve the spiritual knowledge and practices of the ancient ones. And I find that really beautiful, because I believe each of his books follow that Toltec description, which is really lovely, because I had never heard of Toltec before in my life. A Toltec is an artist of love, an artist of the spirit, someone who is creating every moment, every second, the most beautiful art, the art of dreaming. Life is nothing but a dream, and if we are artists, then we can create our life with love, and our dream becomes a masterpiece of art. And for me, that was so beautiful, because it made me think about this illusion and this world that we live in, and what we see, but is it what we really see, and how we can change our different perspectives to see something else. There's so many things that just make me think, and it's so beautiful. I really love deep conversations and allowing discussions to happen. They're so beautiful, especially ones about life, with other people, with friends, with family. I think it's so important to have these conversations, because we a lot of the time just get stuck in our heads, and I think it's important to express what you're feeling and figure out whether other people are feeling the same way, you know? This is really interesting on page 8. We become artists of pretending and projecting our images, and we master whatever we believe we are. When we meet other people, we classify them right away and assign them a role in our lives. We create an image for others according to what we believe they are, and we do the same thing with everyone and everything around us. You have the power to create. Your power is so strong that whatever you believe comes true. You create yourself, whatever you believe you are. You are the way you are because that is what you believe about yourself. Your whole reality, everything you believe, is your creation. You have the same power as any other human in the world. The main difference between you and someone else is how you apply your power, what you create with your power. And that is so beautiful to me, because I completely agree that we all have a purpose in life. We aren't just thrown into this world just to be like puppets on a string. We are thrown here for a purpose, and we all have a purpose in life. I believe that my purpose here is to spread love and to be a beam of light, to explore and give back to others, to give my knowledge onto others, and to continue to grow my knowledge. But the biggest thing is to spread love and light, and that's one of my massive mottos is radiate love and light. I just find so much beauty within that line, and I really do live by it. For me, it's such a beautiful thing to say and live by. This was another really interesting thing on page 18. The happiest moments in our lives are when we are playing just like children, when we are singing and dancing, when we are exploring and creating just for fun. It is wonderful when we behave like a child, because this is the normal human mind, the normal human tendency. As children, we are innocent, and it is natural for us to express love. But what has happened to us? What has happened to the whole world? And I think it just really puts in perspective of how much we change from being young to growing up into an adult or teenagehood. But the biggest comparison from a kid to an adult is so huge. I think because we build our minds and we understand life a bit better, even though there's so many things we still don't understand, but we just have this construction of what we believe things are because we've experienced life basically for such a long time. And there are things that become constructed within our mind in terms of whether we think things are going to go good or go bad kind of thing, our gut vibes, our gut instincts. Whereas when we were young, we just do whatever we want, and there is no framework towards thinking about the future, thinking about all these things that we're worried about today. I think it's really important to allow yourself to try to not get into this mindset of, you know, judging everything. And I think that's the biggest thing that adults and teenagers do. We just judge, and I think we need to take the judgment out the door and just allow things to be as they are and just explore like we used to when we were kids. So this is towards relationships on page 54. We base our happiness on our partner, and it doesn't work that way. To add to that, on page 57, in a relationship we can pretend to be the same, to think the same, to feel the same, to dream the same. But there is no way that can happen. There are two dreamers with two dreams. Every dreamer is going to dream in his own way. That is why we need to accept the differences that exist between two dreamers. We need to respect each other's dream. And this always makes me think towards Rupi Kaur's Milk and Honey, one of her poems where she talks about how you don't build a new life with someone, you build them into your life. You're not changing your life for someone. You need to stay exactly the same. Just allow that other person to understand you within your life that you're already living. And I think it's such an important thing. And people go around looking for relationships to find something that they need, whereas you shouldn't be looking for something that you need. You need to find it all within yourself already, and love will come around. True love, real love will come around, not just this person that you think you need, because it's not about what you need, it's about what comes and the love that you allow to connect with someone else. I think it's such a beautiful thing, but such a big difference, and a lot of people fail to realize that that's where you get a real relationship from. You need to understand yourself first before you can go into one, you know. This is also really beautiful on page 99. If you tell someone you love him and that person says, well, I don't love you, is that a reason for you to suffer? Just because someone rejects you doesn't mean you have to reject yourself. If one person doesn't love you, someone else will love you. There is always someone else. And it's better to be with someone who wants to be with you than to be with someone who has to be with you. The difference, yes. This is the biggest thing with self-love that I try to tell people who don't understand. On page 100, when you have all that love for yourself, you can be alone and there's no problem. You are happy to be alone, and to share is also fun. So, I absolutely loved this on page 130. You start to notice that you are not the dream, that you are not the mind. If you go deeper, you start noticing that you are not the soul either. Then what you find out is so incredible. You find out that what you are is a force that makes it possible for your body to live, a force that makes it possible for your whole mind to dream. Without you, without this force, your body would collapse on the floor. Without you, your whole dream just dissolves into nothing. What you really are is that force that is life. You are life passing through your body, passing through your mind, passing through your soul. Once you find that out, not with the logic, not with the intellect, but because you can feel that life, you find out that you are the force that makes the flowers open and close, that makes the hummingbird fly from flower to flower. You find out that you are in every tree. You are in every animal, vegetable and rock. You are that force that moves the wind and breathes through your body. The whole universe is a living being that is moved by that force, and that is what you are. You are life. And that is such a beautiful thing, because it's true. We are life. And I think we forget that. We forget that we have a purpose here, and that the things around us are the same as us. Ooh, I love this as well on page 139. Usually humans go into relationships as the hunter They look for what they feel they need, hoping to find what they need in the other person, only to find that it's not there. When you enter a relationship without this need, it's a different story. So something I loved about this book was Don ended up discussing stuff about Greek mythology. He would talk about the story of Artemis and talk about different stories of other people. And I love the story about Artemis, so I'm going to share this little thing on page 146. The cells in your body are completely loyal to you. They work for you in harmony. We can even say they pray to you. You are their god. Remember, the whole forest was in complete harmony with Artemis. When Artemis fell, she lost respect for the whole forest. When she recovered her awareness, Artemis went from flower to say, I am sorry. Now I will take care of you again. And the relationship between Artemis and the forest became a love relationship again. The whole forest is your body, and if you just acknowledge the truth, you will say to your body, I am sorry. Now I will take care of you again. And this is exactly what he's talking about with this Toltec wisdom, talking about these old stories that we've heard before from different cultures that relate to who we are now, that relate to our lives. And I think it was really beautiful that he brought this story of Artemis into this book, because I had never heard about her story and it's so relatable. This was deep, just this line on page 148. When you reject someone else, you reject him for the same things you reject in yourself. This is beautiful on page 153. This was everything. I actually sent this to a friend of mine. You are what you believe you are. There is nothing to do except to be just what you are. You have the right to feel beautiful and enjoy it. You can honor your body and accept it as it is. You don't need anyone to love you. Love comes from the inside. It lives inside us and is always there, but with that wall of fog, we don't feel it. You can only perceive the beauty that lives outside you when you feel the beauty that lives inside you. That perfectly explains what self-love is and what it should be. So this was something massive that made me think, because Don was talking about perfection and he was saying that we are perfect, and it made me think, well, we're actually not perfect. And if you do strip everything away, I mean, maybe it is a perfect world. Maybe we are still and quiet, and maybe it is perfect. But it just really made me think, because every single thing in this planet, in this world, is imperfect. Nothing is perfect. You look up to these role models that you're inspired by, but even they aren't perfect. And he was talking about perfection in a way, talking about how perfection exists, and I was thinking to myself, well, it actually doesn't. So that was one thing I kind of disagreed with. But he later on went into this little passage on 184. It is only knowledge that makes us believe we are not perfect. Knowledge is nothing more than a description of the dream. The dream is not real, so knowledge isn't real either. Wherever knowledge comes from, it is only real from one point of perception. Once you shift the perception, it is no longer real. We are never going to find ourselves with our knowledge. In the end, that is what we are looking for, to find ourselves, to be ourselves, to live our own life instead of the life of the parasite, the life we were programmed to live. And it just really made me think towards, if everything was stripped away, every single thing, our mind, and we were just in darkness, well, that would be perfect. Because there is no parallels towards comparison. It's just stillness and quietness in an empty, dark room. And there's no mind there, there's no thoughts, there's no judgment. And maybe that is considered perfect. But it just really made me think, because in this life that we live, nothing is perfect. But when we put our mind into things, I guess that's why we perceive life as imperfect as well. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around what he's trying to say there, but that's kind of my take from it. So I wrote in my notes after reading that passage, it makes me think that his idea is to separate ourselves from reality and to imagine life as a dream that is still, quiet. There is no rush of other people, time, sounds. There is only us, yet without our minds, and just our soul in open space, and that is perfection. There are no faults and the mind to get in the way, and that is the state of being, of meditation, of self. And in that way of looking at it, I do see what he sees. So I'm just trying to gather my head around that. If you have any thoughts on that, please let me know, because I'd love to hear what you think about that. This is something I really loved on page 195. When you know that the power that is life is inside you, you accept your own divinity, and yet you are humble because you see the same divinity in everyone else. You see how easy it is to understand God because everything is a manifestation of God. The body is going to die, the mind is going to dissolve also, but not you. You are immortal, you exist for billions of years in different manifestations because you are life, and life cannot die. You are in the trees, the butterflies, the fish, the air, the moon, the sun. Wherever you go, you are there waiting for yourself. And that is, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful when you think about it. That we are all connected because we are life. And as one, we are life. So we'll forever be living on, always. It's so beautiful. It kind of makes me think towards reincarnation a little bit, but it's so, so beautiful. We are the circle of life. Oh, it's so beautiful. And lastly, I just want to read to you, as I said at the beginning of this video, the prayer for self-love that just made me, oh my God, just burst with love. It was the most beautiful feeling. I finished this book and I was literally just lying down and love was just running through me. I could feel it. It's so weird to say, but I could feel it, and it was coming out of my hands, coming out of my eyes, coming through me. It was so beautiful. The vibration, the energy, it was all there, and I felt so loved. Like, to say that you love yourself and know that you love yourself. Like, I love myself and I love everyone around me, and I love the people that are a part of my life, my friends, my family. I am so grateful, and oh, it was just such a beautiful little high to be on. It was such a beautiful way to end. And I think if you can get there within finishing this book, I think that is the perfect result, and it is so beautiful for you to get there. Grab some tea, close your eyes, and just listen. On page 202. Today, Creator of the universe, we ask that you help us to accept ourselves just the way we are, without judgment. Help us to accept our mind the way it is, with all our emotions, our hopes and dreams, our personality, our unique way of being. Help us to accept our body just the way it is, with all its beauty and perfection. Let the love we have for ourselves be so strong that we never again reject ourselves or sabotage our happiness, freedom, and love. From now on, let every action, every reaction, every thought, every emotion be based on love. Help us, Creator, to increase our self-love until the entire dream of our life is transformed, from fear and drama to love and joy. Let the power of our self-love be strong enough to break all the lies we were programmed to believe, all the lies that tell us we are not good enough or strong enough or intelligent enough, that we cannot make it. Let the power of our self-love be so strong that we no longer need to live our life according to other people's opinions. Let us trust ourselves completely to make the choices we must make. With our self-love, we are no longer afraid to face any responsibility in our life or face any problems and resolve them as they arise. Whatever we want to accomplish, let it be done with the power of self-love. Starting today, help us to love ourselves so much that we never set up any circumstances that go against us. We can live our life being ourselves and not pretending to be someone else just to be accepted by other people. We no longer need other people to accept us, to tell us how good we are, because we know what we are. With the power of our self-love, let us enjoy what we see every time we look in the mirror. Let there be a big smile on our face that enhances our inner and outer beauty. Help us to feel such intense self-love that we always enjoy our own presence. Let us love ourselves without judgment, because when we judge, we carry blame and guilt. We have the need for punishment, and we lose the perspective of your love. Strengthen our will to forgive ourselves in this moment. Clean our minds of emotional poison and self-judgment so we can live in complete peace and love. Let our self-love be the power that changes the dream of our life. With this new power in our hearts, the power of self-love, let us transform every relationship we have, beginning with the relationship we have with ourselves. Help us to be free of any conflict with others. Let us be happy to share our time with our loved ones and to forgive them for any injustice we feel in our mind. Help us to love ourselves so much that we forgive anyone who has ever hurt us in our life. Give us the courage to love our family and friends unconditionally and to change our relationships in the most positive and loving way. Help us to create new channels of communication in our relationships so there is no war of control. There is no winner or loser. Together, let us work as a team for love, for joy, for harmony. Let our relationships with our family and friends be based on respect and joy so we no longer have the need to tell them how to think or how to be. Let our romantic relationship be the most wonderful relationship. Let us feel joy every time we share ourselves with our partner. Help us to accept others just the way they are without judgment, because when we reject them, we reject ourselves. When we reject ourselves, we reject you. Today is a new beginning. Help us to start our life over, beginning today with the power of self-love. Help us to enjoy our life, to enjoy our relationships, to explore life, to take risks, to be alive, and to no longer live in fear of love. Let us open our heart to the love that is our birthright. Help us to become masters of gratitude, generosity, and love so that we can enjoy all of your creations forever and ever. Amen. And for me, that was the most beautiful, beautiful way to end the book. So if you haven't read this book and you stayed all the way up to here, I hope you enjoyed this video, but I also do hope that you pick this book up for yourself. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and that you express love everywhere you go. Love yourself. The biggest thing, love yourself. Learn to love yourself and love the people around you, because you are so loved. So, yeah, as usual, bye!